And what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Inland Sports Show. We are live and amplified here on Wednesday night. I know it is spring break for many of you across the IE, so hopefully you've had some chance to hang out with your friends, your family, do something fun, right? But for us here at the Inland Sports Show, we never want to go a week without bringing you what's the latest on, what's going on here on the sports scene in the IE. So we still wanted to do a show. It might not be the normal big show that we have, but we wanted to bring you something because there is still a lot going on. But if you're on spring break right now, enjoy it. It's a good time of the year. I think the temperatures are going to hit like the 90s coming up next week. So summer's going to be here before you know it. So enjoy the break. All right, we're going to talk some high school softball, some high school baseball, college baseball, and we're going to break down the CBU's jump to the Big West Conference and what that means for CBU, and also the rivalry with UC Riverside. Geoff Gorham is going to join me in our second segment to break that down. But let's talk some softball. Last week on the Inland Sports Show, we had the Valley View Eagles right here on the program, and we knew they had a big game coming up, and here we go. Coming up tomorrow, Thursday, it'll be Valley View at home in the city of Moreno Valley as they take on the Riverside Poly Bears. Let's go. This could decide the Ivy League championship, or at least have big-time implications in determining the league title when it's all said and done. And Riverside Poly, they've had a great run. Valley View with John Perez, they feel like they could be the team to beat. Poly is the defending Ivy League champion. But Valley View, when you look at those CIF Southern Section Power Rankings, I think the first time the rankings came out, Valley View was like number 1. So they do have a good squad, but this will certainly be a test for both teams as they battle for supremacy in the Ivy League. That's Riverside Poly and Valley View, our Kin Sporting Goods must-see game this week. It's going down on Thursday in the city of Moreno Valley. Eagles and Bears going head-to-head. That should be a good one. Might be a pitcher's duel. We'll see. Might not be a lot of runs in that game. All right, speaking of not a lot of runs, if you've been keeping tabs on the Corona High School baseball team, you already know they're the best high school baseball team in the nation, and I may sound over dramatic saying this. They might be the best high school baseball team ever, period. They are that good. They are 13-0 as of Wednesday night as we do this show, with 11 shutouts. In fact, the only team all season long that has even scratched out a couple runs against Corona was La Mirada. And let's see, I think they beat La Mirada the first time 10-1. And then in the Boris Classic Southern California Championship game, they beat La Mirada 8-3. So La Mirada has scored 4 runs off Corona. And that's the only 4 runs the Panthers have given up all season long. So they have 11 shutouts in their 13 victories. Just an unbelievable run. Just this week, let's see, they beat King 9-zip, then they beat King 22-0 on Tuesday. They'll wrap up their series with the Wolves coming up on Thursday. But going back to the championship game of the Boris Classic for Southern California, it was all Inland Sports. On the season right now. Heck of a run for Corona. Remember, they won last year, and I was even going through my text messages. We're going to try to get Corona on the Inland Sports Show very soon. They've been real busy. We've got a very busy schedule, traveling involved as well, but we're going to get them on the show very soon. But I was looking back at my text messages with head coach Andy Wise, and it's funny. I went back. Let's see, where was it? I went back. Here it was. He texted me on, what was the date last year? On May 20th. He did the show, and I was telling him congratulations, on winning the CIF Southern Section, Division I championship and being that, national number 1 and all that stuff. He wrote, Yeah, thanks, Pep. We should be really good next year, too. They're going back to the National High School Invitational as well, back on the East Coast in North Carolina. So he knew a lot of guys were coming back. They've got 3 probable first-round Major League Baseball draft picks. Ethan Bingaman, the former Arrowhead Christian star, is now at Corona. He's committed to Auburn. He's another big-time player. Listen, they've got big-time players up and down that entire lineup. So anyways, Corona doing Corona things as we expected this season, and we will have the Panthers on the show very, very soon. All right, the County Clash is back at San Manuel Stadium, the home of the Inland Empire 66ers on Friday night. It'll be Redlands versus Beaumont at 4 o'clock, and then the nightcap will be Redlands East Valley against Citrus Valley in Citrus Belt League play. Then on Saturday, it is wall-to-wall baseball at San Manuel. You can have breakfast with Bernie and the 66ers. It's going to start at 10 a.m. Yucaipa versus Cajon. We will have that game live on IEMG. Myself and the Big Jeezy, Geoff Gorham, will be on the call for the Thunderbirds and the Cowboys. The Cowboys just had their 11-game winning streak snapped by Citrus Valley, so the Cowboys will try to get back at it. And Yucaipa's got a very good team this year. Again, Thunderbirds always do, right? So that's the first game of the County Clash on Saturday at 10 a.m. That is followed by Colton and Eisenhower at 1 p.m. 4 p.m. it's Notre Dame taking on Bloomington. And the nightcap at 7 p.m. Arrowhead Christian will take on Woodcrest Christian in Ambassador League play. So wall-to-wall baseball starting at 10 a.m., probably go until 10 o'clock at night at San Manuel Stadium, the first county clash of the season. A couple CBL games on Friday night, kind of whet the palate. And then on Saturday, man, a lot of good baseball going down at San Manuel Stadium. Well, the Sixers, they're actually going to open up their season on the road, and then they'll be back home for their season opening series the following week. They'll play, on the road at Visalia, and then they'll play their home opener next Tuesday against the Fresno Grizzlies. So the Sixers have a new general manager this season, but she's not new to the team. Hollee Haines, the former King High School softball star who went on to play at Penn State, she has been with the Sixers since 2018 and worked her way up all the way to the top to be the general manager. She was the assistant GM last season. Now she's the general manager, taking over for Joe Hudson, who's overseeing several of the ball clubs now here in Southern California. So we had a chance to talk to Hollee Haines. Her dad is Lee Haines, the head softball coach at Cajon High School, a very dear friend of the show. We love Lee Haines. And Hollee, man, listen, she loves diamonds. Not just on your hand, but diamonds, whether it was softball, baseball. She said she's always had a mitt on her hand, and she's excited to be the general manager, the first woman to be the GM of the 66ers. We had a chance to catch up with Hollee. Here's a little bit of our interview talking about taking over the Sixers franchise.
Inland Sports.
Super excited. It's been here since 2018 and been through every role basically here. So very excited to be able to lead them now.
So the season is now right around the corner. As we do this interview, there's a fan fest here at San Manuel Stadium with the team opening up on the road later this week. The home opener will be the following Tuesday here. Is it a crazy time of the year? As the general manager, you guys running in all different directions?
I keep having dreams I'm waking up and forgot something. But no, it's been great. We're excited for Tuesday. We have our $2 Tuesday, $2 tickets, $2 food deals, $2 parking. So we're really excited. We're ready.
So I know a lot of people, they love minor league baseball because they want to see the future stars at the major league level, but now, right? You know, before they get to the big leagues. But also, it's just the game day experience of minor league baseball and just having a good time when they come out. Any cool promotions or anything that you're excited about this upcoming schedule, this team, this upcoming year?
Yeah, we have a really great schedule. I mean, we have fireworks every Friday night. We have some really cool bobblehead giveaways. We're doing an ode to an LA dog. We have a Mexican Heritage Night, a National Tequila tasting. So we have a pretty packed schedule as far as promos.
So when fans come out, obviously the baseball fans are going to come out, but even just the people who want to have a fun family night, right? Like, you can come out to the 66ers game.
Yeah, we have great deals. I mean, Fridays, like I said, we have $1 hot dogs. We have $5 seats. You get fireworks. I mean, you can come in here for $10 for a family. So you can't beat the deals, not just baseball.
All right, so Hollee, now that you're at the top of the pyramid here as the GM, when you first got here in 2018, what was your first role? What was your first job here with the Sixers?
Account executive, selling group tickets in a cubicle. No, that was my first role, was an account executive, and then moved on to director of group sales, director of sales, AGM, and then now the GM. So like I said, I've held every role pretty much here.
But as a general manager, is that paying off now? Because you probably understand like all the different roles, right, that it takes to have minor league baseball here.
Yeah, I think it makes a good manager, someone that can lead and has done it. So I mean, I've done it, sold tickets, and sold season tickets. So I think it really does help having just a base knowledge of what's going on here.
Inland Sports.
All right, good stuff. Hollee Haines, the GM of the Sixers, their home opener next Tuesday. That is April 8th. As they will take on Fresno. Let's talk some California Baptist University baseball. And Cody New, the big left-hander from Hesperia Christian, is off to a great start. The strikeouts are up. The earned run average is down. And Cody, I had a chance to do a CBU Lancers Athletic podcast with Cody, and the interview was awesome. He loves baseball trading cards. He is a real nerd about the sport, just loves stats, loves box scores, baseball cards, all that stuff. He said he really hasn't changed anything from his freshman year to his sophomore year mechanically, but he said he's real big on sports psychology. In fact, that's his major. The mindset of being a pitcher, having confidence, believing in yourself. He says that's the key. That's the key to being a great pitcher. The physical attributes are there. They've always been there. He said, but mentally, the mindset, man, he is really locked in right now, and he's got one of the best ERAs in the entire nation as this CBU team is trying to chase down a Western Athletic Conference title again this season. So here's a little bit of my interview with Cody New, but make sure you check for that Lancers Athletic podcast coming at you very, very soon.
Inland Sports.
Going back to your jump from your freshman year to your sophomore season here, what do you credit the big jump to, the big improvement?
Just trusting yourself, doing the work, making sure that there's no one out there working harder than you, blending the mental side to the physical side. As much work as you do physically to be the best pitcher, the best hitter, there's got to be an aspect of the mental side that you have to put in that work. So I do my best to do 15 to 30 minutes every day, whether it's visualizing, thinking about it, or writing, journaling, reading books about it. There's just a lot of different ways that's underlooked to get a competitive edge from the mental side. So I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, because you were mentioning that mechanically, you haven't really changed the way you pitch, right? It's just, like you said, between the ears mostly.
Yeah, and it's always been that struggle for me. I've quit baseball 3 times growing up, and that's always been the same struggle, is just getting out of my own head and just trusting myself that I'm good enough.
That's awesome, man. That's great.
Inland Sports.
All right, that was Cody New, man. Super good guy. Really enjoyed our conversation. Very casual, and really enjoyed it, man. He really does love baseball. Although he was a stud football and basketball player at Hesperia Christian as well, but he always knew baseball was in his future. All right, when we come back, we're going to sit down with the big GZ, Geoff Gorham. We're going to talk about CBU's move to the Big West Conference next season. Not this one that's coming up, but the one after that. Also, UC Riverside men's basketball coach Mike Magpayo leaving the Highlanders to take over at Fordham University. We'll break down that as well. So the big GZ, Geoff Gorham, is coming up next here on the Inland Sports Show, right after this. And this segment of the Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Kidd Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jackets. Boost Performance Training in Corona. Athletes of all levels and all sports train at Boost. And also ask about the Bass Private School. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist you can trust. Chick-fil-A in Yucaipa, right off the 10 freeway at Yucaipa Boulevard. Eat more chicken. And as the football season wraps up across Southern California, turn to Sanitation Solutions for comprehensive laundry and athletic equipment services. They can take care of your weekly uniform laundry and end-of-season equipment inventory. And if you'd like to promote your business or organization on the show, send us an email. Help us share the positive sports stories here in the Inland Empire.
Hey everybody, Coach Andy Wise here. We're out at Corona High School. I got my man Pep Fernandez and my favorite show, the Inland Sports Show.
Parents, you might be a little crazy and killing your kid's passion if you have them playing multiple sports all at once. We have seasons for a reason. Having a primary sport each season helps kids stay healthy, prevents burnout, and increases their focus. Look, it's okay to let your child chill out a couple nights out of the week and even focus on other hobbies outside of sports. But working harder ain't always smarter. Boost man.
Hey guys, this is Jason at Ken Sporting Goods. We're almost to 1,000 Instagram followers. Tell your friends, like us, come down, see us. Thank you so much for your loyalty.
The Inland Sports Show is proud to partner with Dr. Marcus Paulson and Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Dr. Paulson and his team work with children, teens, and adults using orthodontic products like traditional braces and Invisalign to make a difference in the appearance, comfort, and function of each patient's teeth. Paulson Orthodontics welcomes new patients, so schedule a visit today. Paulson Orthodontics. We make braces fun. And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show. I'm your host, Pep Fernandez. We're live and amplified here on Wednesday night. I know many of you are on spring break. You probably have better things to do, hanging out with family and friends, doing something fun. But if you're watching the show, we still wanted to bring it to you because there's some cool things going on right now in the Inland Empire locally. So we just want to make sure we do the show, even if it's not as big and robust as usual. We still want to do an Inland Sports Show, so we appreciate you tuning in. If you're following us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, give us a like. We'd really appreciate. We might start streaming the show live on Instagram as well, maybe Twitter or X as well for distribution, try to get it out there more. So we might be experimenting again in the next couple of weeks. This is kind of the experimental season, the spring and summer before football hits, so we might try some new things. All right, with all that said, let's get to our one-on-one with the Big Jeezy, Geoff Gorham. And there was a lot to cover because I wanted to sit down with Geoff and get his thoughts on California Baptist making the jump to the Big West Conference. Many of you know Geoff and I do the CBU men's basketball games on ESPN, so we see a lot of the Lancers. We also did UC Riverside basketball with each other for, I think it was 3 or 4 seasons, and Geoff, I think, did it for a total of 8. So he'd been there for a long time. But Highlanders head coach Mike Magpayo just left to Fordham University on the East Coast in New York, and I think his introductory press conference was today, I think I saw on social media. So We're going to talk CBU, jumping to the Big West, UCR basketball. Where do they go from here with Coach Magpayo getting that job at Fordham? So here he is, the Big Jeezy. And join us here on the Inland Sports Show. It's the Big Jeezy, beard and all, breaking it all down. Is this like a lazy beard, vacation beard? What's going on, Geoff?
Well, I've been working at the docks on my spring break, and I'm a longshoreman. Luckily, I don't have my beanie on. I got my Ramona Rams football hat on, but no, I do it every year after basketball season. I grow this beard, thinking that it's going to be cool, but every year it gets grayer and grayer, and I look more and more like Gandalf.
There's nothing wrong with that. But, like during basketball season, we got to look our best, right, for ESPN Plus and the big CBU basketball games.
Yeah, so now I try to look my worst. And I grow it until my wife says, Geoff, you really need to shave it. And then when she says that, then I shave it off.
Well, okay. Well, let me ask you this. Because this is not an interview. We're just talking. We're just having a conversation. So I know you did a couple CBU baseball games with our guy Travis Van Note, right?
I did. I love it.
Did you go in the clubhouse for the baseball team? Did you get a chance to see that?
Of course, I've been in the clubhouse. It's the nicest clubhouse on the West Coast. Anybody that wants to play baseball, come to CBU, play for Gary Adcock, and that building. It's like the Taj Mahal.
Yeah. Yeah, man, they're making a lot of upgrades. But, last time I saw Coach Adcock, he said, come on out. We're going to show you the clubhouse. And I just haven't made it happen. Maybe I'm waiting for the red carpet.
You got to be cool, and I'm cool enough to be invited in. But Gary Adcock's office is he's like the president of the United States. He has like an Oval Office up there. It's huge.
Listen, I know you go back a long ways with Coach Adcock, and I'm curious because now you have the beard. He's clean shaven. No facial hair, no hair on top either. But some baseball teams, I'm thinking of like the Yankees, they have like a no facial hair policy, right? They're very, they want clean cut looking guys. I don't think Adcock has anything like that, does he?
Well, I don't know if Adcock can grow any facial hair, to be honest. Let's just be honest.
He's got a baby face.
Well, he grew to be a whole 5 foot, like 5 something, 5, and I just don't know if he ever grew the beard. I don't know look at him. He looks like he's 12 still, and he's my age.
He's got the baby face, which as you get older, you want that.
Oh, yeah. Instead, you get stuck with this right here.
Look at that face. All right, Geoff. So speaking of CBU, they're moving to the Big West Conference. Not this upcoming year, but the year after, which would be 2026, 2027, yes. Competition season. So I thought, my personal opinion, and I had no inside knowledge, I was just kind of shooting off the cuff. I just thought they'd ultimately end up in the WCC, the West Coast Conference. I mean, at least basketball-wise, it kind of made a lot of sense. I don't know. I didn't drill down to see how they would fit in baseball, softball, swimming, all those other things in the WCC. But I thought it seemed like a good fit because it's small private schools on the West Coast. But here they go in the Big West. They'll be the only private school in the Big West Conference. I guess logistically, proximity-wise, it makes sense. Like, are you excited about that?
Well, I am. For the sake of Riverside, I'm very excited. You have the Big West, you have the two teams. The crosstown showdown is not just going to happen in basketball. It's going to happen in all sports. It's going to happen twice a year, and it's going to have, it's going to mean something. So I think it helps Riverside to have. You're going to have two fan bases that are going to be diametrically opposed to each other. It's going to be fun. You can go to these games and it's going to be packed. I think it helps CBU. I think it helps UCR. I think, during the Christmas holidays, nobody goes to these games because, the students are out of school. But now when you have games that matter and they're in the same conference, we're going to be able to see and hopefully fill both arenas, fill the SRC at UCR. And we've seen them fill the Fowler Event Center at CBU this past year. So I think it's fantastic. I think it gives more meaning to win championships. Think about who you have in the Big West. They're all local type schools. In the WAC, you're playing, 2 years ago, they're playing at Chicago State. They're playing in Texas. They're playing in Seattle, Washington. I think it just it's a better conference stability-wise for CBU. They can travel with UCR. It makes them a travel partner. They don't have to fly everywhere. I think it helps the student athletes. and I think it elevates the Big West. I think when you bring in Cal Baptist, who has been successful since day one of going into Division I think it elevates the conference.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, UC Davis and Hawaii are both moving to the Mountain West, I believe, because they're both football schools. So really, when you look at conference games, dude, they're all in Southern California. I guess the longest trip would be Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, and that's probably still a trip you make in vans, or a bus or whatever. So yeah, I mean, even if you're a CBU fan, you could go to Fullerton, right, or Irvine, and watch the Lancers play on the road.
Or UC San Diego. We saw that that magical run they had this year. UC Irvine's in the NIT finals as of after last night.
Oh, are they really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, UC Irvine is in the National Invitational Tournament Championship. That bodes well for the conference. And when you bring in CBU, not just basketball-wise, but you have baseball, you add, all the different sports that they play, it's going to be fun. And then you still have, they're still in the Big Ten for wrestling. I think CBU has set themselves up in a great situation, even if it's only a temporary fix to be in the Big West. Who knows? Maybe they go to the WCC, or maybe, the Pac-12 opens themselves up and we have like a super conference. There are a lot of different opportunities, but I think the best spot for CBU right now is the Big West, and I think they'll be a dominant fixture. You have a track. They can run track in the Big West, which is a powerful track conference, and like you said, baseball in the Big West is a much better conference than the WAC.
It's funny you bring up the Pac-12 because it seems like pie in the sky for CBU to be in the Pac-12, but when you look at what the Lancers have done the last couple of years and how quickly they've grown, that doesn't seem like out of the realm of of a possibility, because they do think big and dream big, and we've seen Gonzaga's moving to the Pac-12 and they don't have football, but they're going to go to the Pac-12 and do all those other things. So not saying like CBU that's their ultimate goal is to get to the Pac-12, but I know they think big. Like they're not going to say, okay, well, we'll stay in the Big West Conference and be here for forever. I think they're always thinking about like, how do we grow? How do we get bigger? And the Pac-12, who knows what that's going to look like, in the years to come. It's not the old Pac-12. It's not a Power 5, school or a conference anymore.
Yeah, and you can think of it this way. Economically, you can think of it joining the Big West is that the other sports programs, their travel packages aren't going to cost an arm and a leg, and maybe some of those programs won't be upside down because they're a non-revenue sport now. Basketball brings in a lot of fan base. Baseball brings in a fan base. We know volleyball is huge at Cal Baptist, and these programs I think will benefit because you're not taking the money out of their programs for travel. Maybe there's more in NIL. Maybe there's just more in scholarship money now for the student athlete at CBU. I think it's a win-win for Cal Baptist for sure.
Yeah, and just specifically men's basketball, because those are the games that we did, so we saw the Lancers every time they were at home. But I feel like Grand Canyon's really good. They've been to the NCAA tournament several times now. But I think the path to get to the NCAA tournament might be tougher now for CBU, men's basketball wise. Because the Big West is, I didn't know UC Irvine's playing in the championship game of the NIT, and UC San Diego, we saw what they did. And I think there's some really good basketball right now in the Big West.
Well, think about it. You have, Pasternak up at UC Santa Barbara, who has one of the best NIL companies. I guess they're companies now, the best NIL company in the Big West. You have Cal State Fullerton, who has been in the tournament the last, they've been 3 out of the last 10 years. They struggled a bit this year, but every single year there's a different team that has made the Big West or the national tournament, and it is a lot tougher. The Big West is a much more
I'd say more balanced, top to bottom, right? Like
it is, and you're going to have to deal with teams that can shoot the basketball. We saw in the WAC, nobody could shoot. It was a beat you up kind of conference, and the Big West is more of a skilled conference. And I think CBU will fit into that. They're going to have to recruit, some outside shooters, but they can still rely on their bigs. Think about what UC Irvine has done with their bigs. They always have 2 or 3 7-footers, and it is continual success by Russ Turner. And I see that Rick Roy has those bigs. He just needs to get a couple of shooters, and I think they would be right in the mix along with Santa Barbara, or San Diego, and all those schools. UC Riverside. UC Riverside's won 20 wins for 3 straight seasons, which is unheard of. Now they're in transition, and who knows what they're going to look like come next year.
Yeah, okay, that's a perfect segue then, Geoff, as we're talking Big West basketball. UC Riverside, our friend Mike Magpio getting a job at Fordham University. So 2 things. Congrats to Coach Magpio. I want to hear your thoughts on him, taking this next job. And then where does that leave UCR? You mentioned they've had a pretty good run under, from David Patrick to Coach Magpio. How do they keep this going?
Well, it started with David Patrick, and I think, he had a great staff. He had, Zeppel was his assistant. You had Mike Magpio was on that staff, and these guys have gone on. Zeppel went on. He was the head coach at Sacramento State last year as an interim basis, and they just brought in guys, starting with David Patrick through Magpio, as they brought in the foreign kids from New Zealand, Australia, and they were a very, very big part of the program. Not the great scorers. You had Zion Pullen, who's obviously a somewhat local guy. Barrington Hargress, who's in the transfer portal. Caleb Smith is in the transfer portal. The entire team is in the transfer portal, and I think it was a good opportunity for Mike Magpio, who has roots back in New York. He was at Columbia before. He's going back, and he's in the Atlantic 10, I believe it is, and they're going to win some ball games. He's a proven winner, and why not throw some money his way and give him an opportunity to win on the East Coast. Maybe he recruits some West Coast guys, but it leaves UCR in a precocious circumstances. Who's going to get the job? And there's names out there. There's some great coaches. Perry Webster is one of those guys who's an assistant or a head coach at Fullerton College, who has won numerous state championships. Maybe you bring a guy from the JC ranks. Or you bring in a guy like Justin Downer, who's at Point Loma Nazarene, who's won his first 2 years at the helm there. He has some Riverside roots. He was Yancey Dotson's assistant at Riverside.
Poly,
he was instrumental in helping Lamont Butler achieve all of his goals at San Diego State and Kentucky. And then you have Eddie Hill, who is Mike Magpio's associate head coach, who is the man in the wings who was responsible for helping bring in Barrington Hargress, Isaiah Moses, Caleb Smith, and those guys. So maybe you give him a shot and see if you can continue the run that Patrick and Magpio and hopefully Coach Eddie Hill could sustain. That those are the options. Or maybe you try to bring in a big name, but it's going to be kind of difficult when you lose all of your players and the portal is closing. To say, a lot of these guys are getting picked up. So do you go out and you get a big name now and maybe suffer winning next year, or do you go with a guy that's in the program and go with the guys you have and add a few puzzle pieces that don't get dropped in the portal?
Man, it's tough. You have to recruit your own players nowadays. Like the guys that you have, you got to recruit them just to stay. It's I wouldn't want to be a coach right now. I know that.
Well, I think the NIL at that level, and we can delve into this deeper if you ever want to, but I think places like UC Riverside, when you have guys, you're paying players, you're really just going to rent them for a year. You're renting them. So you can say you pay a kid, and we're just going to throw out a number. Say I pay Pep Fernandez $10,000 for a year. Well, you have a great year. You go out and you average 25 points a game. And, you go back to the NIL and you go, hey, how much can you get me? Well, I can cap you at $15,000, but then you have University of Florida. They bring in Zion Pullen last year, who's now playing in the NBA, by the way. You bring him in and he goes to Florida and he's making more money than the head coach of UC Riverside. So if you're a great player, you're going to leave because you're a rental. So it's almost worse to have an NIL at a situation like UC Riverside, and I'm not knocking it, but it seems futile. It's almost worse than being a community college coach because you have to rebuild every single season if you succeed.
Geoff, I just saw something. I think it was St. Francis University. Did you hear about this?
No.
That they're a Division I program. In fact, were they in the NCAA tournament this year? I'll have to check. They might have been.
They have been in the last few years, yes.
Well, they are transitioning to Division III because they don't want to deal with NIL. They're not going to mess with that.
See, and you're going to have schools like that, but see, St. Francis probably only has a handful of sports in their program. Here out west, you have all the sports. You got golf, you have tennis, you have volleyball, you have swimming, you have track. Those things don't correlate great in the cold, so it would be hard for UCR to drop. I would say it would, just because of how well they do in other sports, if that makes sense. They're very good in basketball, but how can you sustain it? I mean, UC Santa Barbara last year had the best NIL numbers there were, but they weren't successful. So if you're somebody donating to a program, do you want to invest in year-to-year basis, or do you put a cap on it? Say we're going to pay all 5 guys or 10 guys $10,000 a piece, and sign contracts like they're employees, because essentially that's what they're doing. Sign them to a contract, hold them accountable. If we're going to pay you this amount, then you stick with it. And then it's just, there isn't enough money to keep guys in, if you develop players, to keep them in your program because they get poached.
Yeah, I think at least I was just reading a little bit about St. Francis. They just don't have the money to compete with some of these, bigger schools that do have these big NIL collectives. So instead of trying to compete with them, you're never going to win at the Division I level if you can't get the best players. So they're just like, okay, we'll just go Division III. And I'm not saying that's going to be the trend. Maybe this is just the outlier, but it's very interesting how. I
think it will affect a lot of schools, not so much out west, like I said.
They did make the tournament this year.
They did.
They did.
But you think like Azusa Pacific now is going from Division II to NAIA because they can bring back they're going Division II to Division III.
Division III, yeah.
They're going to play in the SCIAC, I believe.
Yeah, like University of Redlands. Yeah, those schools.
Well, see, maybe there's benefits to the smaller schools because now they're able to bring back football. Azusa Pacific was not cost effective for them to have football, but it is when you are Division III now. I mean, it's not going to cost them anything more than it would have been before. But I think the fees, the higher you go up, makes it almost impossible travel-wise.
Yeah,
now it's a great travel situation. You go to Whittier, it was bringing theirs back.
Yeah, Whittier. You're right.
Laverne, you have all these schools that have football programs, and now Azusa Pacific is back, which is great, very great. But UCR they're just in a precarious situation. UCR and Cal Baptist. Last thing I want to mention, we have 2 Division I schools in the city of Riverside. How many other cities have 2 Division I programs in the country? I want to think about this. In the city of Riverside, we have 2 Division I programs. How are they going to share that revenue? I mean, people, you're going to have to choose where you're going to put your money. Are you going to put it into Highlanders? You're going to put it into the Lancers. And that's just the hard part is that will be the hardest part, I think, for the programs themselves for sustainability is who can generate the most money.
Yeah.
And right now, let's just be honest, CBU is spending the most money. They're getting the revenue dollars from the local sponsorships, and UCR is going to have to really jump on this, or they're going to be behind the 8 ball. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
UCR very, very successful, but that's based on coaching and recruiting guys. But now you're going to have to deal with the money across town, and I think that will be the biggest outlier we're going to notice here in the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm. All right, Geoff. Well, the next time we talk, we'll have to talk some high school football. I do like your Ramona Rams hat. You are a Ram High legend, and that's a pretty sweet football hat right there.
Well, people always give me a hard time. I'm a Ramona Ram first and foremost, and then I work at Norte Vista, and I work with Ken Batdorf. So I have to almost say I like Norte Vista because I'm Ken Batdorf's friend, I guess. No, I just, me. I love high school football, and I support all our teams. All of them. I love it. I hope we have Riverside football back next year. If not, what are we going to do, Pep?
We'll find a way.
Well, there's always
a way. We will find a way where there seems to be no way. All right, that is the Big Jeezy, Geoff Gorham, joining us here on the Inland Sports Show. All right, the one and only Big Jeezy, Geoff Gorham, breaking down a lot of stuff there, and we will be talking a lot more high school football, which a lot of teams, from what I've seen on social media, starting spring ball. Spring practice is here. They're out on the field throwing the ball around, so here we go. Football season right around the corner. Again, our favorite time of the year. All right, we're going to take another quick break here on the Inland Sports Show before we wrap things up right after this.
And this segment of the Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Kin Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jacket. Boost Performance Training in Corona. Athletes of all levels and all sports train at Boost. And also ask about the Bass Private School. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist you can trust. Chick-fil-A in Yucaipa, right off the 10 freeway at Yucaipa Boulevard. Eat more chicken.
And as the football season wraps up across Southern California, turn to Sanitation Solutions for comprehensive laundry and athletic equipment services. They can take care of your weekly uniform laundry and end-of-season equipment inventory. And if you'd like to promote your business or organization on the show, send us an email. Help us share the positive sports stories here in the Inland Empire. The Inland Sports Show is proud to partner with Dr. Marcus Paulson and Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Dr. Paulson and his team work with children, teens, and adults using orthodontic products like traditional braces and Invisalign to make a difference in the appearance, comfort, and function of each patient's teeth. Paulson Orthodontics welcomes new patients, so schedule a visit today. Paulson Orthodontics. We make braces fun.
Do nutrition supplements really build muscle? Absolutely, if you know what to take and how to take it. First, it's important to understand that muscle doesn't build itself. Any use of supplements should be backed by a solid strength program. Second, timing is key. Consuming supplements at the right time makes them that much more effective. Lastly, make sure you're consuming the right supplements. For my athletes, I always recommend carbohydrates, whey protein, and a high quality creatine. Your boy, Boost Man.
Inland Sports.
Baseball opening weekend is in the books, and if you're a Dodgers fan, we joked around that maybe they'll go 162-0. Well, that is still a real possibility after sweeping the Detroit Tigers in their home opening series, and they look very impressive doing it as well. Now that they got the Atlanta Braves coming into town today, but the Dodgers are 5-0 when you combine the Tokyo series, and now this 3-game set against Detroit. The pitching was a little shaky here and there, but the Dodgers, that's what champions do, right? They find a way to win.
Yeah, I kind of like it, too, that they played well, good enough to win, of course, but not everything's perfect because, take it from me, as a Mariner fan, when a team comes out really hot in the beginning, it's tough to maintain that, dude, and it leads to a drop-off. I think the Dodgers are doing it just right. They're winning, but they still have something to kind of strive for and work on.
Yeah, and consider this, too, that Shohei Ohtani, at some point, I firmly believe at some point this season, we will see him on the mound. I don't know exactly what that role is going to look like. Is he going to be like an every 5th or 6th day starter? Is he going to come out of the bullpen at first? But we also have the Final Four for March Madness, the NCAA tournament. It's set. And Patrick, for the first time and only time since 2008, we have the number 1 seeds in the Final Four. You guys probably already know this, but it's going to be Duke against Houston and Florida against Auburn. I think it's been a fun tournament, but not a lot of chaos, Patrick. Not a lot of drama getting to the Final Four.
No, for the first time, and like you said, over 25 years, or nearly 30 years. My goodness, the teams that were supposed to win actually won. I guess it's kind of like the Padres coming after the Dodgers. Eventually, it's got to happen. I think it makes for a great Final Four. I know it's not as exciting leading up to it, but we talked about this a couple weeks ago. The non-drama in the beginning of the tournament leads to a better tournament in the end. I think a bunch of drama in the beginning, a bunch of those really good teams lose when they probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So it makes the games not as quality at the end. I think we're setting up here for a great Final Four.
Yeah, the tournament as a whole might not have been as exciting as years past, but these Final Four games and the national championship game, it should feel like a heavyweight fight. Like, these should be some really good games because we did get the best 4 teams in the country, advancing and making it through the Final Four. Even my wife asked, she knows enough about the tournament to be dangerous, and she said, "Well, who was the Cinderella this year?" And I'm like, the slipper didn't fit anybody's foot. There was no Cinderella this year.
Inland Sports.
Hanging out with my boy Patrick in the morning on KCal 96.7 FM every Monday and Thursday morning. So if you're watching this live and amplified tonight, I'll be there tomorrow morning on the radio. Excuse me, on KCal 96.7 FM. All right, finally, we'll probably talk torpedo bats. I know that's the big rage right now. The Yankees are doing it. I think Max Muncy now, the Dodgers, is doing it. So we'll talk about that tomorrow on KCal. All right, but one more before we go. One more quick reminder. We will be out at the County Clash at San Manuel Stadium coming up this weekend. We will have Cajon versus Yucaipa live on IEMG, so make sure you check out that. We'll be checking out a number of those baseball games out there at the County Clash this coming weekend. Geoff is scheduled to join me out there on Saturday to have the call on that one. All right, finally, again, thanks for tuning in. I know it's spring break for most of you or a lot of you, so taking time to watch the show, we really do appreciate it. We just love sharing all the cool stuff that's going on sports-wise here in the Inland Empire. My name is Pep Fernandez. God bless you guys. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show. Good night.